Happy New Year's Eve! I cannot believe 2025 is over. I know everyone says this, but every single year I feel like just gets faster and faster and faster. It's kind of terrifying. One of my favorite things to do at the end of the year is to look back on all of the books that I've read and reminisce on my favorites. I have Goodreads where I set my reading goal every year. I try to set a lower goal because then it just kind of becomes more just reading to hit the number, and I have done that in the past, and I'm trying to just read books that I want to read and take as long on a book as I need to and not try to rush through it just to hit a number. So I did hit my goal of 20 books this year. So I'm going to talk about my favorite reads of 2025. Some books that I read this year are definitely going to be my favorites, like lifetime favorites, and will always be recommendations that I give to people. So without further ado, this is not in any particular order. I'm just going through them in the order that I read them. These are all 5-star reads in my opinion. I loved all of these books so much. So first up, starting with my very first read of 2025 actually, Circe by Madeline Miller. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Circe, no idea. Absolutely adored this book. A little bit out of my comfort zone. It is about Greek mythology, which I do find very interesting, but also borderlines, kind of fantasy. My favorite genre is historical fiction, and I love anything that's like set in the past. Really, really blew me away. It was beautifully written. It's basically a retelling of Greek mythology, the witch goddess Circe. I could not put this book down. The way it really took you into the world. Also, we love a strong female main character, very empowering. Even if it's not in your normal genre, this is just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful book. And of course I had to follow up Circe with Song of Achilles, also by Madeline Miller. I didn't actually know that Song of Achilles came out first. I think that one came out in like 2011 and Circe came out in 2018. So a little bit out of order, but after I read Circe, I was like, I need more Madeline Miller. I need more of this Greek mythology. It was just as good as Circe. I think I like Circe a little bit more, but Song of Achilles was amazing. Obviously, it follows Achilles. It's more of a love story. It's like a retelling of the Trojan War. Both of these books, 5 stars. Cannot recommend enough. Doesn't matter which order you read them in either because they're not connected in any way. I mean, they might be obviously it's connected because it's Greek mythology, but you can still read them out of order. Both books, highly recommend. Phenomenal. Way to go, Madeline. You killed it. Next up we have The Best of Everything by Rona Jaffe? I don't know. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. This, I don't know that it's for everyone per se because I think this is very much up my alley. My favorite genre is historical fiction. It follows, I honestly think it was 4 girls. I can't remember if like in the photo it's only 3, so maybe it's 3. There is one main character, but it does kind of follow like a group of girls in the 1950s working in publishing in New York. It touches on the challenges of being a working woman in the 1950s, what expectations were back then, how men in power were really taking advantage of women. So it does kind of touch on those social constructs, and I thought it was so well written. It's definitely like a little bit more slower paced, but I enjoy books like that. I love a good, like, if the writing is really good and you're like really setting the scene, putting me in the 1950s in New York. Fantastic book. Really, really loved this one. Next up is Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer, I think it's pronounced. This book I could not put down. It is nonfiction, but it reads like a thriller. It basically recounts the 1996, I think the year was, disaster of Mount Everest. They, go on an expedition climbing Mount Everest. There is a movie about it that I think came out in like the 2010s or something. I did watch it after this book. It was great. After reading this book, I went into like a full-blown Mount Everest obsession. I did a bunch of research, I read a bunch of articles, I watched documentaries from explorers who were trying to climb it in like the early 1900s, and then to like how we do it now, and just like what you have to do to climb it. Like you have to hike up, there's like different like kind of checkpoints that you hit when you climb up the mountain. There's like base camp, like 1, 2, 3. I can't exactly remember what it was, but it takes so long to get up there because every time you hit a checkpoint, you have to stay there because as you go higher, the oxygen gets thinner. So you need to let your body kind of adjust, or you can suffer from altitude sickness, which can be deadly, especially if you're up on a mountain. Like, it takes time to get down and get medical care. It was just so interesting. I love a good nonfiction book. If you're into thrillers even, like, this will be such a good book. Definitely recommend watching the movie afterwards. Highly recommend. Next up, I read Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. I am a John Green stan. I love him. I read all of his books growing up. Looking for Alaska is one of my favorite books ever. Everything is Tuberculosis is nonfiction. It's about tuberculosis, obviously. Disease is kind of tied into inequality, you know, healthcare and how healthcare is not accessible to everyone as it should be, you know, in other countries and low-income communities. And it really just changed my perspective on global health. Heard about this book because my friend got tickets to see him. He had like a reading and like talked about, and I really didn't know what this book was kind of about. I just kind of went into it blindly, knowing John Green and being like a long time fan of his. It was just really, really interesting. When you went to the reading, you got a free book, and I actually think it's signed, right? Yeah, he signed it. But yeah, there's his signature. So that's really cool to have a signed book by John Green. Highly recommend. Wonderful book. Really gets you thinking. I feel like I'm gonna say highly recommend after every single book I talk about. And you know what? That's okay, because I do highly recommend all of these books, and that's why I'm talking about them. Next up on the list is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I feel like I was a little late to the party on this one. I know this is a pretty popular book and a lot of people have read it. I actually don't know, when did this book come out? Because I feel like I heard about it for so long. I think it was 2019, 2018? I don't know. But I definitely think I was a little bit late to the party with this one. It follows they start off as teenagers, but it kind of follows them throughout their life. A really great coming of age story. I've also heard that the Hulu series is really good. This book was really wonderful. Also really short, so it was kind of like a quick read. Definitely a great classic coming of age story. So now we're getting into my summer reads, and you'll be able to tell over the next few books that I do really try to pick books that are like beach reads, summer-esque, at least set in summer. The first book that I read for the summer was One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. And this one was a little bit of a surprise for me. I was looking for kind of like a light read. I'm not a huge romance reader. I kind of go into it knowing that like it's not going to be a 5-star read. It's going to be fun and lighthearted, and like, you know, sometimes I need a break from like a really heavy book. If I'm being completely honest, I would probably say it's a 4 out of 5. So maybe technically not a 5-star read. However, it just really hit when I needed it to. I think it was because I had low expectations going into a romance. It's set on like a lakeside community. It follows one character as she kind of is navigating life and trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life. She's a photographer, and she's kind of doing work that's maybe not as meaningful to her. So it kind of had that element of the story that I really enjoyed. It wasn't just like, I feel like romances, which, you know, that's what they are all about the romance. What they struggle with a lot is like character development and really connecting with the character and like rooting for the character. And this one I really felt invested in her and wanting to like succeed. Definitely probably the best romance I've ever read. So that is my one romance recommendation. If you're looking for a good summer read to add to your TBR for this year, definitely add One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This book I was really obsessed with. It's called The Divorcees by Rowan Beard. This book I had never heard of. I was literally walking around the bookstore. I'm very much a pick up a book based on its cover person. I'm not a buy a book based off its cover. I obviously pick it up and read the description on the back. It follows this one woman who is seeking divorce from her husband, and it's set in the 1950s. You had to be separated from your husband in like another state for, I think it was like 3 weeks or something, for the divorce to like take effect. So she checks into this like divorce ranch. It follows her and just like the other women in the house. I was really nervous because when I got home, I looked it up on Goodreads when I like was adding it to currently reading, and the reviews were so poor, and I was like, oh no, what have I done? This book was so good. I really enjoyed it. People were saying that it was really slow, which I guess I don't think it was slow. I thought that there was kind of stuff happening all the time, but I mean, it's also not like a thriller. I enjoy books that are really well written, and those don't ever feel slow to me, even if nothing is really happening per se. This book is a great summer read. Was definitely one of my favorites of the year. Now on to my favorite summer read, probably my favorite read of the year, and that is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I am a huge fan of Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've also read Daisy Jones and the Six, which is one of my favorite books, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I just think she's a great writer. She really knows how to tell a story, and I feel like every book I've read, I've just have not been able to put it down. I'm so invested in the story, I'm so invested in the characters, and this was exactly that. This is set in the 1980s and it follows a family, but it also jumps, she loves her like jumping back. It was both in Daisy Jones and the Six and in The Seven Husbands, where she would time jump, and she does that here. So current time is in the 80s, but it does jump back to like the 50s, 60s, 70s, kind of just going back in the family history. But it's basically about this family, kind of their family history, and goes into their relationships with the siblings and parents. I love that her books are connected to each other, like the worlds connect. Dad in this book is mentioned in The Seven Husbands. Brothers, like girlfriends or ex-girlfriend or girl he's dating at the time in this book is Carrie Soto, and I know there's a book Carrie Soto. I haven't read that one yet, but I just think it's so cool that she like builds these worlds and like the characters kind of just pop up throughout all of the books. I love that. Truly cannot recommend this book enough. If you read any book this summer, please let it be this book. Another smash hit by my girl Taylor. This next book was a summer read, almost transitional into spooky season read. That book is Jaws by Peter Benchley. I went to Martha's Vineyard over the summer, and that's where they did most of their filming for Jaws. So of course when I was there I had to buy the book. And this has been on my TBR for a really long time because I do love the movie. I've seen it a bunch of times, and I've always just wanted to read the book. So good, exceeded my expectations. Even if you think you know the story of Jaws, you don't know the book story because it is very different. Not very different. It does, obviously, it's the same storyline of the great white shark that terrorizes this island. There are a lot of side stories that aren't in the movie. The characters are a little bit different. Like Chief Brody is not as likable in the book as he is in the movie. The ending is also different. It does not end like the movie ends. There's a little bit of a different twist to the end. I could not put this book down. I probably read this book in 2 sittings. The only issue that I had was this book was written in the early 70s, and it shows there are some offensive words and like misogyny and not great. You see that a lot when you read older books, and if you're able to just kind of like get past that, so good. Even if you think you've seen the movie over and over multiple times, you know the story, the book is different. I don't know if it's better. I don't know if I would say that it's better, because I do think the movie is incredible and the characters are a lot more likable in the movie. I feel like in this book I didn't really like any of the characters, so that was kind of hard for me to get over. Even if you think you know the movie, you don't know the book, and you should definitely read it. And lastly on the list we have Hello Beautiful by Anne Napolitano. I'm so sorry, Anne. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but your writing is incredible. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. It is so gorgeously written. It basically follows these 4 sisters and one of their husbands over the span of decades. Starts in the late 70s, and then it kind of progresses from there, and you follow each character. Each chapter is like from a different character's perspective. There's like the main like three four maybe perspectives that you kind of follow throughout the book. Was definitely on the heavier side, some heavy topics in here. I would have to put it down. I think I read like a really cheesy romance in the middle of this book because I was like, I need a little bit of a break. Not in a bad way. Like it wasn't like this is way too much, like I need to step back. It was just kind of like, I just need something a little bit lighter. You just become so invested in the characters. You really love each and every single one of them. This one truly is definitely gonna pull at your heartstrings and is emotional. Wonderful book. Highly, highly recommend. And that is that. Those are all of my favorite books that I read in 2025. I love all of these books. They are going to stay in my library forever. Just really thoroughly enjoyed every single one of these books. And I am very much looking forward to the books that I will be reading in 2026. Thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year!